Cricket Show USA, the Cricket Hall of Fame USA, and the American Cricket Education Council, ACEC, is pleased to welcome the weekly joint collaborative broadcast of the Coach's Corner. The objective of the Coach's Corner is to provide coaching, education, and expert views, information, oral and practical assistance, while helping to educate those seeking to understand and to become actively involved in the sport of cricket nationally and internationally. The segment of the Coach's Corner will run from 6:15 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern time zone and will feature Jatin Patel, Cricket Hall of Famer and multi-sport coach, administrator, and director of the Cricket Hall of Fame. Good afternoon to you, Coach.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the show.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And Coach, it's a pleasure. Go ahead, Denise.
Let me welcome you, Coach, with a question to start the ball rolling.
But Denise, before you do that, let us tell the panelists that the topic this evening is decision making in cricket, and so they can be prepared to have a question lined up for the coach. So go right ahead with your question.
Yes, Coach. Coach, in our daily life, whether your daily routine involves work, school, or play, we have to make decisions that involve whatever we are doing. Can you tell us specifically, when it comes to sports, what is the importance of decision making?
Well, decision making, especially when we're talking about cricket, it's all about self-decision making process. If we have to understand right, the batter in a helmet, middle in the game, has to make a lot of decisions on their own. There is absolutely no communication from outside, or somebody is directing them through the Wi-Fi or some radios what to do or how to do. And it's heavily rely on their own judgment, which is also part of the decision process. And over, we hear a lot from commentators as well as fans and so many people out there in the cricket world. The one common outcry we hear is bad shot selection. When batters gets out, people immediately say shot selection is not right, or it's a poor shot selection, or improper shot selection. So what it leads to is this decision-making process, it decides the outcome. If you do it right, and if you make the right decisions, and if it works out, then you have success on your side. But it doesn't happen always because of the so many reasons that includes a part of mindset process. We call it the mindfulness. Means you have to live in a current moment, think about what's happening, analyze it, judge it, and then you have to accept it. And the biggest challenge is always, in any sport, I would say, it's your decision making. Because whatever you make a decision, there is only two things can happen. Sport is not so and so. You make a mistake, you pay for it or you suffer it. If you make the right decision, then definitely success is on your side and team will be happy. So that's how decision making impacts. And absolutely, decision making is a lot of time has a lot of distraction, which is the pressure, we call it, psychological situation because of the game situation or in your own health situation. There is a physical limitation can impact also. For example, you want to do something, but you are not able to because you are not fit at that particular moment, or maybe you are tired and not able to perform the way you like or the way everyone else is expecting from you. So if you understand the right decision-making process as a very important ingredient on your success and failure.
Thank you, Coach. And again, I'd like to remind our panelists and our listeners, wherever they are, if they have any questions, please, at the next vote.
Let me make my first question.
Go ahead, Leon.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Okay, in leadership, in particular in team leadership, you have a captain who is responsible for making of the decision. But sometimes a captain may depend on some key players in his team. And that's sometimes you call the collective leadership. How important is collective leadership in making decisions? But they don't depend on the captain alone, but the collective. The problem is put to a team of players or a number of players, and then they arrive at a decision. How important is that? That is something that we can relate to in this aspect.
It's a very good question, Leon. I like it. And that is the ongoing issue, whether we look at West Indies or in general, the worldwide cricket. A lot of teams are suffering from this particular concern, you say. The leadership. It's a two different part, actually. The leadership is a kind of a role. It's not about the leader's responsibility is to work together with other people. Really, it's not. In other words, the leader has to know each and every player on the field. He must know everyone's capabilities, abilities, and the potential. Number three, must have the personal bonding and understanding of each and every player out there. That's a one side on the field. Off the field, the leader is actually working with the coaches, team administration and management, as well as when they all work together, they usually develop a game plan, we call it, means what they are going to do and what administration and management or overall teams are expecting in terms of executing that plan on the field. It's easy to say a lot of leader fails on the field for two reasons. Even they prepared, plan for it. There is always things going to happen which you never thought about it or think about it. It just comes from nowhere. And in such situation, the leader, if he thinks like I can fix it or she can thinks I can fix it, it's extra pressure on them. And because of that, the beauty of especially in cricket is a team sport. If you have senior players on the field with you, when we say senior players, it's not just by the age, it's also in terms of the experience, who has played more games for more years and carry the most expertise through the experience. And if you can have those people on the field, and if you're working with them as a combined decision making, especially on game tactics or related to the game situation or related to your team situation, if you feel we are under pressure, you're trying to fight back or come back and want to take the competitive edge on your side, this input from the senior players on the field becomes very important. The very good example, you can see that when we watch these too many T20s, by the time we're looking at 18, 19, and most likely 20 overs, believe it or not, if the game is going in a 20th over, which is the final over, and you have less than 15 runs to score in that particular over, I guarantee you there is a meeting with the leader as well as maybe one or two other players on the field and maybe the bowler. And that is what they discuss. Like, what is the plan for this 1 over? Because we are going toward the stretch, and this 1 over can change the outcome of the whole game. And what it is basically leader is taking the second opinion or maybe third opinion. Now, lately, to my experience, is not about just experience and expert players, especially when you look at IPL or CPL or BBL, is not about the senior team member from your own country, because you have a lot of experienced players playing with you from other countries. And what they usually do is they discuss the situation. By the way, in professional cricket, everyone knows what's going on. But this is the point of quick discussion to outline who is going to bowl. If they bowl, what we can tell this bowler what to do. Means what you are expecting to do. Definitely, you want to be on winning side. So at the same time, if you look at on batting side, if there's a senior batsman out there and if he's a non-striker, you'll definitely see a quick meeting between the overs before this 20 overs started. And it's a quick planning process to see how we can proceed this over. Again, as I said, if the senior batter or the person who is confident to score and take their team to cross the line, and if he's a non-striker or she's a non-striker, then they'll be definitely talking the plan from ball one. Either you go for maximum or rotate the strike. That's a simple thing we can say. But beyond that, there's a fielding strategy and all those. And because of that, I will say in a team sport, the way you look at it, the winning strategies and like some of the good captains are maintaining their winning strategies, means the percentage high because they take the inputs. That takes this combined decision making. And again, decision making is always can be improved if you have second and third opinion and good input or feedback. And if they can provide the support, the leadership can be a little bit relaxed and it can go for the better outcome.
You coach. Let me follow that up with a question for you on. I mean, in today's format of cricket, a batter is faced with a fast pitch rising delivery, more commonly called a bouncer. If the cricket format is a test match, the batter often can choose to duck and avoid the delivery. If it's the ODI format, the batter weighs the option to have a swing at it. However, in the T20 format, the batter will swing at that delivery 8 out of 10 times. The question is, what is the impact of the decision making at this time in relation to the format of the game they're playing? What is the impact of the decision making by the team and the player?
Again, this is a critical question. In general, these are the 3 different formats, and good batsman or batter has a 3 different decision. Let me give you one example of, let's say, if you have a Dhoni or Virat Kohli caliber person batting, their strategies are different based on 2 things: the format of the game, and the second thing is always situation at the moment when they are ready to take a guard and to see what that can be done next. Now, these 3 different format has a 3 different priorities. When you say T20, runs are priority. It's not about how you play or what kind of stroke you play. It's all about how many runs you can score against any delivery. So that means you have to throw bat at it, whether it's a wide or not, whether it's a no ball or not. At least you have to going for it. The another thing, when you compare the test, you have plenty of time to wait for the opportunities, and that's the only reason the highest amount of bouncers can go without batter taking a chance or taking a shot at it, because they like to have the next moment to see if something else comes up. Let's survive and look for the second moment. In ODI, same bouncer can be treated differently if it is within reach, little bit outside off stump or little bit on the leg or leg and outside, they can go for the swing because there is a possibility to score some runs without getting out. But when it comes to the T20, the batter is puzzled by the field placement. Normally, behind the stump, you have just one keeper, maybe fine leg, because nowadays you see too many people on the off are staying towards the point area or square point or between third man and point. So there is a wide gap open behind the keeper. Also, we don't see that many fine legs. It's going a little bit towards the square, towards the leg umpire, and that creates the open space. So what it does, a lot of batsmen thinks either he or she can gain even a touch. This ball can go for 4 or 6. And this is the quickest way to score runs without a heavy or hard effort. At the same time, you are carrying some risk. And we have seen people playing these bouncers, trying to make this odd leg cut or late touch or trying to hit the top of the keeper, and they usually get out. But the decision-making process takes place for two reasons, because of the format of the game and the priority.
Thank you, Coach. Invitation for questions, if any, shout, put up your hand. Otherwise, I will proceed with another question for the coach. We discussed that game earlier on that management, that question from Leah. But in a match situation, the batting side needs 30 runs to win, Coach, with 2 wickets in hand. The bowling side has 1 over to bowl. So based on this situation, as a coach, what do you consider the proper decision to give to both teams? In other words, the batting team with the 30 runs to win and 2 wickets in hand, the bowling side 1 over to bowl. What do you consider the proper decision to give to both teams in order for them either one to be victorious?
Let's talk about the batting first. The situation is clear that you have 6 balls to come, legal deliveries, let's say. We are not counting those no balls and wides, because those are the uncertainty of the game. If you get them, it's a bonus. If you got no balls and free hit, it's definitely plus gift coming to you. But without thinking that far, we must understand that each and every ball is important. Every ball being bowled and the outcome from that particular ball will change the formula. Means you have 6 balls to go, and you told me the situation is 30 runs and 2 wickets left. After the 1 ball, there will be a different situation where a number of runs required and number of wickets on hand with the 5 balls remaining. So this equation of the situation, which we call it a demand, will change after each and every ball. But at the same time, as a coach and player, we have to understand 1 ball at a time is not about 30 runs getting 6 balls. What we can do next, which is only 1 ball coming, let's say, out of 6, and what we can do. So the decision making is a simple, it's not a rocket science. You always stick with Survival is the key, means you have to do something without getting out. And then think about the maximizing thing, means what you can get maximum out of it without getting out. And in order to do so, let's say if you hit a 6 on the next ball, the formula changes. Now you need 24 out of the 5 balls. And let's take one ball at a time. Again, it may change if you got the wide or no ball with the free hit. It can change. But at the same time, you can be under pressure because you have to take a risk when you're trying to score runs. If you lose the wicket, what happens? Your team is about 1 wicket left and certain amount of scoring needed. But again, the priority is what? Runs. So the decision is a very simple for batting. Go for maximum without getting out. As plain and simple. Now I'm switching to the bowling side. This is more of a bowler. Now remember, in any sport, there is a common say, defense wins. Means whichever team has a better defense, they usually win the game at the end of the day. So in cricket, I consider the fielding side, the bowling side is a defense because they have the all options open. Remember, batsman has a 6 options, means a 6 ball coming, and they have to score maximum to reach that 30 mark in that particular over. But now think the positive side of the bowler. It takes just 1 ball to get the batsman out. So the strategies are very simple. Looking at this equation, 30 in 6 balls. So that's like a 5 runs per each ball. If the bowler can contain runs, means if he can bowl a dart ball or with the interest to take a wicket, the team can be in a position. Look at this last game, I think it was yesterday when the Punjab 11, it's a Mumbai Indians were really close to take that winning. It was like winnable margin at the point with the 3 overs left. I would say they were on the momentum. And all of a sudden, this India's left-arm bowler, Arshdeep Singh, came out and it changed the whole equation. And in the 20th over, he delivered what he can. And that is the beauty about this game. It was another game when Gujarat Titans was going against that Lucknow Super Giants. What happened? 1 over. There's a senior bowler, Mohit Sharma, I think, bowled the last ball. And in that over, he took the 2 wickets and 2 were run outs because they put the batting side under the pressure. It was, I think, 12 or 13 runs needed for that over. We think it may be 2 sixes. No. If the fielding side is good, if the bowler can control the batters from not letting them score, the batters will give you wicket or throw the wickets. And that is how the T20 is. It's a fast game. You have to make the decisions quickly, I will say. And those decisions can be different after every ball. So its strategies are simple. If you stay with the basics, if you are a bowler, it's all about getting wickets without giving runs. And if you are a batter, score as many as you can without getting out. Stick with the basics, and the game is yours.
Thank you, Coach. Any? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I have one. Coach, how can you maximize that you are making the correct decision? Case in point, I saw yesterday a batter hit the ball to mid-on or deep out, more or less, midway between the mid-on and the long on, mid-off. And he ran, he is supposed to be going to towards the trainer who's throwing. And he fails to run fight in order to get in before that ball reaches the bowling edge and was run out. No, I'm saying what should go into player's mind if he's going to make a decision to call his partner for a run? What should go into his mind? Should he? What do you think should go through his mind? Do you understand the question?
Yes, I got it. There is two things we have to understand. Your decision making still can be impacted. Depends how you get the ball. You want to score 6, let's say, for example, but do really know what kind of delivery you're going to get the next. In today's world, the pitches are flatter, but there is a variation of slow ball or knuckle balls, and there's so many things can happen. And based on that situation, even you want to go for the maximum, you might end up wrong shots, sometimes mistimed shots, sometimes straight to the fielder. Now, these are the things can happen, let's say, because it's not in your control. Even you made the right decision, you have to carry a little bit the outcome, which is decided by the surface, let's say. But the tactics, you need to be the strong and you need to be rock solid. In this situation, if I read the situation right, if the batter is there on the crease with scoring more runs than non-striker, that's a one situation. Let's say this batter is higher in order in batting than the non-striker. Let's say he's a senior batter at the crease. So what the situation is here in this down the stretch overs is the priority is give the maximum strikes to the senior batter who is capable to, or possibly he is more potential to score the remaining runs and they deserve the more opportunity. So instead of going for the single, the second run is there for a reason. They take the chance on the second run for two reasons. Number one is definitely they are looking at the strike back to the same batter who has a more potential to carry on the batting and take the team to the winning side, means he's capable to score. They want to retain the strike, means they have to get back to their end. At the same time, they are taking this risk for one thing. What can happen worse? This batsman can go run out and someone else come and join. That's a risk. But at the same time, it's about 50-50 to me. What happens? Misfield, wrong throw, bowler did not collect well, or the ball did not hit the stumps. You got the extra run. So game is decided by the runs. So you have to take every possible chance to score a run. And that is the right decision. They make it during the stretch. They will go for it. Even there is no run, they want to go for it.
Thank you, Coach. The game related.
Okay, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Can I go ahead?
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Coach, do you think captain can be intimidated sometimes because of a previous decision that he has made and the way maybe the media or his team reacted, and he would find himself in similar position? Don't you think sometimes he's rather intimidated in making such decisions, having a reflection on what had happened before?
Oh, good question. This can happen even you are batting. We have here this sledging, bad language, the teasing, somebody tried to intimidate or excite you or put you in frustration. These all possible things are part of the game. We have to live with it. But at the same time, good players always rely on self-confidence and their capability to execute and let the action speak. I can give you two good examples. One is always the Sachin Tendulkar. It doesn't matter what you say to him or what you're trying to say around him about what's going on in the game. He don't care. Even he feels bad, even he listens, he just ignores and he's come back to his own way. He has his own agenda. He will play his own way because that's how the proper mindset's supposed to be. And he like to deliver in terms of the action. Let the bat talk, not by the mouth. Don't respond. Another great example I still always remember is that one of the World Cup when in South Africa when Yuvraj Singh scored those 6 sixes. If you replay that particular incident, is the captain was talking something, bowler was talking something, all of a sudden, I believe it was targeted to the Yuvraj Singh, and Yuvraj Singh did not respond, but he was in a kind of proper mindset that every ball need to be out of the park, every ball out of the park, and he did it, So it's just like when we say leader got something from before the game or during the game from third party or within the field side or outside, it has nothing to do with it, I will say, because you have to stay focused and pay concentration needed for the game. You have the plan, stick with it instead of getting into those distractions. I will say how good you are to control your own emotions. That's a key. How can avoid the angerness or frustration? That's another part. So it's going back. All this decision-making process is heavily and highly rely on only one thing. It's called a mindfulness. Are you good, strong enough to take care of the business?
Thank you, Coach.
Perhaps you can ask Tyson if she may have a question or Donna.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't think I'm that expert. I'm just listening and trying to learn.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Coach, game-related decisions and normal life decisions appears on the surface to be different. Is there a difference, and is there an effectiveness in game-related decisions compared to normal daily life decisions? Can you expand on whether or not there's a difference, and is it more effective in one area or another?
I have done the life coaching too, 4 or 5 years back, helping people under that corona and later on when they are going through a hardship. And during the corona, a lot of family has to take that challenge to survive. And some loses jobs and all those. And by my experience, when I was talking to a lot of families when we're going through that situation, I will rate the decision making is on a softer side in the game. I'll explain to you why. But it's really tough on a life living. Definitely, I can give you one good example where this can be easily understood by anyone. Let's say someone really wants to play cricket, right? They're putting everything behind it. And what happens if they don't get opportunity or chances to play? The player usually gets frustrated. They are disappointed because things are not going as expected. And under that situation, it's not about playing. It's hurting their normal life. They might think about going for the suicide, or they are rejected or dejected. They're getting into the stupid hobby just to avoid that frustration from the head. That's one thing for it. In a game situation, is not a big important because let's say if you are a baller, if you make a mistake, you have another opportunities coming. If it is a batter or a player, it's the same thing. Worse come worse, and I call it the sports, the game-related decision. If you fell, your team may fail, and end of the day, you lose the game, but you have another opportunity to play and fix that particular error you made. It's not about repeating that error. Every time you fail, life is simple. Are you able to bounce back? Are you able to avoid repeating the same mistake? In other words, when you make mistake, you learn something. Can you improve and move on? That's a sport. In the life, it's other way around. If you make a big mistake, and if your decision is right, your decision's outcome is not like a game. You don't have second thought in some situation. Or I will say, certain decision will impact your personal life for a long time. In other words, you will not be able to forget this incident or situation or whatever you made this wrong decision. It will torture you over a time. It's coming back in your head, spinning over and over, and it's remind you that you are still not able to forget that situation. And because of that distraction, it will definitely impact your mind psychology, we call it. Means you are not able to forget this thing and it's coming over and over, which is what? It will trying to keep you away from the next things you are trying to do. So this decision-making process is a very important. And as been to, I mentor few dejected or disappointed players out there in India, I will say lately, and I usually tell them, hey, when things don't go wrong, try to understand why it's not going wrong. Means what you can do to correct it. Can you make it happen so it doesn't go wrong again? It's life is a learning process. And when you make those decisions, and if you say it's a fail, learn something out of it, improve it, and that's a way to move forward.
Okay, Denise, I have another question. Just to follow up on what you were saying, because I had a question right along that line. How do you handle a decision? Because, sometimes you make a decision and it causes enmity, it causes a batsman to crash their bats again, press the bat, injure themselves, end up being fine. How do you really and truly will talk to the guys that are involved in making a decision which went the wrong way?
This is the I think most toughest challenge for anyone, I would say, because we are all human beings. And when we are thinking about too much about what happened until now and what was the outcome, and then you are carrying your mindset under two things. Now you are always worried, I will say, every single moment you are stretching too much about fear of failure and worry of outcome. And that is what it's repeating. A lot of times, everyone has to go through this pitch, I would say. It's a learning process. You're going to have downtime. But during the downtime, instead of stressing out or overthinking, we call it, about what happened or what has been, you have to blank out your mind. Just forget it, whatever happens. It's all about considering or use as a reference what happened, but it doesn't mean it's going to carry over or continue. If you clean your head, and I will say, begin with your slate. Like, for example, let's go back to the test cricket. There is a very simple example I can get you is when the batter gets a life, means somebody is batting and somebody dropped the catch, and we call it, he got the life. The reason for that, whatever happened to that ball, he survived. He was lucky from getting out. Now, if you keep thinking what happened, is never gonna end of it. So what happens? The batter is taking the second life. It's a new beginning. The new ball is coming. It's a different. And the decision he makes will be the outcome. And will you guys will not believe it? Plenty of legendary batsmen has played longer innings where the fielding side has paid the price for the dropping the catch. So it's all about not your failure. Remember the Nelson Mandela, it's not about falling. How many times you get back from that failure and falling is more important. So if you are dejected or rejected or disappointed because of the performance, it's a you can bounce back if you have the proper mindset.
Yes. Coach, in a match situation, should you as a coach coach the players to weigh and consider the risk and concerns about their match day decisions? In other words, a player might say, all right, should I bowl a Yorker? Or the batter might say, should I hit the boundary with this particular ball? So should the risk and concerns for making the decision, is that something that you would actually coach the players or induce in a player on the day of a match?
It depends on the level of this game, I would say. If it is at the professional level, I will not advise anything. It's not about how to do it. It's all about what to do it. For example, at the youth level, I have seen many parents are instructing them from outside the boundary what to do next, right? Means they are guiding their kids what to do. I have seen even parents about teaching them how to. To me, it's all about what to. If you say, let's say in T20, is it matter how the person plays the defense? Absolutely not. If I have to give instruction, I will say, stay there, try to score runs without getting out. Now, I do not care about how they stop the ball or let it go, as long as my purpose is fulfilled or survive. Let's say batsman is still there without getting out. My problem is solved. So in this one, if it is a professional level, then yes, you have to understand, you should have the game plan against which batter, what are we going to attack. There is every batter has a weakness. Even on a game day, even the good batter may have the different difficulty to carry on his inning. And if you spot it, the professional bowler will adjust it. Can we go for the weakness? And that is the key. It's not about telling what to do. Your tactic is very simple. Don't give a batter the comfort. And if you can achieve that, we have succeeded in our planning.
Good. Is it better to take the batter or the bowler needs to make a better decision, a better decision making? What, if anything, does it take to get a better outcome in a player's decision making? For example, a batter may say, is the reverse sweep right at this time of the match? Or a bowler may say, should I bowl a Yorker at this time of the match? So what does it take to get a better decision making on the day of a match?
I will say it's not at the day of the match. Being a bowling all-rounder all my life, I usually wait until I go into the stride and see batter's triggers, which is the foot movement. Because you have to understand as a bowler, if the batter has to do something, he is standing on his feet on the ground. Means the first movement always comes from the feet. I do not care about how much is the back lift is there, how the bat is holding, where he's bending his knees. It does not concern to me. The triggers will give you some indication to you. And the good batters do not trigger until you come into the stride. And because of that, the smart bowler controls their bowling variation until they come to the stride. I can give you one example. Like Ashwin in India, we have seen in some games, he come to the bowling, he come to the stride, and all of a sudden you see little bit pause before he deliver the ball. He is looking at it, right? At the same time, if you are a batter, I will suggest the other way. As I said, what the baller do, if it is a good baller, they wait until the moment of release. And during that stride, they look at the batter's trigger and the situation where to bowl, and they immediately change their decision in a fraction of moment, and they deliver the ball. If you are a good batter, especially I will say Kohli, Dhoni, they don't get into. They usually wait for it. Especially I can see the Virat Kohli. He just wait for the delivery, and believe it or not, we have seen plenty of time. He definitely has a 4 or 5 option on every delivery. He will wait for the ball, let the baller being delivered. On the merits of the ball, means length and line, he will pick up out of his one option. And that is the why he can score, right? Go ahead.
Yes, for the sake of the listeners and the younger ones in particular, can you explain what is meant by the trigger movement? You used that term a while ago, and for those who are listening and not understand what that is, can you explain?
The trigger movement is your feet. You have 2 feet. When you take the guard, your right and left leg both are on the ground, let's say. When you take the guard, the both feet are steady. All of a sudden, you have to move your feet. And most of the time, when you move your front foot, means you are coming out or want to play from that crease or in front of the crease. If you are moving your back foot first, means you are now waiting for the ball to play on the crease or behind the crease. Now, it's a very common, anyone can try, I will say. I usually suggest to the coaches when I train them, before you teach the kids, try yourself. Once you make a movement going forward, it's a very difficult to come back. It's not quick against especially quick bowling. And because of that, we have to take as a granted, as anticipation. If the movement trigger is front foot, I will not let the batter to play front foot. If I see the trigger back, I will not leave them the delivery, which they can strike it with the back foot movement. So that's the beauty about it. But the trigger is a nothing but a fit movement. Which leg is making movement first? And that is the key.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach, for your invaluable insights, tips, and advice on how mindfulness can make a substantial difference, not just in our cricketing life, but perhaps in our daily life. We have come to the end of our Coach's Corner session, and we invite you to join us again next week at the same time for the next the next session of the Coach's Corner. We also invite you now to stick around with us for the rest of the show. We have another 2 hours of lots and lots of information. But in the next hour, also, we'll be hearing from Audley Watson with the birthday and anniversary of.
Thank you all.
Coach.
That's correct.